In addition to the paint options that we saw to control the size and strength of the brush, there are also so-called brush options, and that can let you control the actual shape of the brush. Let's take a look. I'll go to the push-pull brush, give myself an offset of, let's say, 10, and then just drag a little stroke over there. That's the default brush shape. Let's change that up so that we can get sharper peaks to our mountains. Go to Paint Options, and within there you will find Brush Options. That opens a window which is labeled Painter Options. And this is kind of an old school window from an earlier iteration of 3ds Max. And we can't actually save what's in this window, unfortunately. There is a toolbar that allows us to store these options for the paint tool, but it does not work with the freeform tools. That's a bit of an issue. We cannot actually save what we do in this window. It just gets stored with the scene, and we cannot make presets for it. But regardless of that inconvenience, this is still a very useful dialog. This curve we see here is the shape of the brush. And if we want to get sharp peaks here to the mountains, we can adjust this shape. I can select this control point here, which corresponds to the center of the brush. And it's got a Bezier handle. You can kind of see that there. There's a little black dot. I can click and drag on that and create a very sharp point there. Alrighty, and let's see what that looks like when we do a sculpt. Now, it's going to be very hard to see because having changed this, now we don't really have enough deformation. We'll need to increase the offset up here in order to see that effect. I'll set the offset to 50 and then draw another stroke. Okay, there we go. That's a good illustration of the difference between the default brush shape, which is very soft and mushy, versus this edited brush shape that I've created here, which is giving us these really sharp peaks. Pretty cool. And we could edit this any way we wanted to. We could add points on here if necessary. We've got a button here to add points. By default, it's going to add a smooth point. If you want a Bezier point, you can hold down that flyout and choose the second button there. Click on the curve and you've created a Bezier point, and then you can move it using this little move tool. Change that up and really kind of customize the shape. Maybe you want a plateau there or something like that. All right, so you can kind of totally customize the shape of that brush. Here's the one that had a really sharp shape to it. Here's one that had a little bit more of a smooth transition to it. If you want to take this back to the default brush, you actually just have to edit it to sort of look like what you saw originally. I've got that point selected and I can delete it and then just move these tangent handles around to try to get that S-curve shape back that we had when we first opened this dialog. Now it's pretty much restored back to its default state. This is really important because if you never go into this dialog and never play around with the curve shape, then your sculpt is going to kind of have this default mushy appearance, and you won't really have the artistic control that you need to get good results. All right, that's how you work with the so-called brush options, or also known as painter options, to change the shape of the deformation.